Good evening, race fans, and welcome to the virtual Thunder Valley Bristol Motor Speedway, with Grindstone Developments Racing Series makes another stop here tonight. The first of multiple short tracks in a row this season that will take us all the way through early May, and a lot of opportunity for some of the short track specialists to try to get it done here tonight. Under the lights, once again, the last great Coliseum, Bristol Motor Speedway, is where we will race here tonight. I do want to thank everybody for joining us. You are watching Austin Green on PGR eSports. Well, qualifying is complete. Drivers are getting gridded up. Malik Ray, of course, last week's winner, looking to see if he can go back-to-back here tonight. And we will get into all the rest of the storylines here in just a moment. But with the parade laps getting ready to begin, let's kick things off with your starting grid. Almost a similar setup, but just flipped from what we had last week. It's going to be Malik Ray, last week's winner at The Rock. He will start from the pole here tonight. Bryce Rayner in the 87, one of the digital sim sport cars. He will roll off from the outside pole here tonight. Back in row number 2, it's going to be a couple more Chevys. It's going to be Brian Hennings on the inside of the second row. He'll have Craig Janzak to his outside in 4th. Back in row 3, it's going to be one of the Team PGR drivers and the man who won at Daytona in the first race of the season, Brock Westmoreland in the 25. He'll start alongside Brad Thacker in the 56. By the way, for Thacker, he podiumed last week. We'll see if he can build on that momentum here tonight. William Ann Jr. in the 29 Sundrop Camaro. He will roll off 7th, and it's going to be Harley Barletta to his outside in 8th. Rounding out the top 10, it's going to be two Toyotas rather, with Zachary Crabtree on the inside of row 5 and Jared Philpott rounding out the top 10. Quick note on Philpott, last race we saw him in was the season opener at Daytona, so he'll look to see if he can recover here tonight. Joshua Kirsch, he'll roll off from 11th. He's going to have Jason Nethery, a couple of seasons ago, the champion in the late model cars, who will start from his outside in 12th. Back in row number 7, it's going to be John Legger on the inside in 13th, and Stephen Pless to his outside in 14th. Kevin Kirchhoff, our series owner, series sponsor rather, and of course one of the guys who actually saw practicing at some of the officials this week at Bristol. He'll be ready to go, starting on the inside of row 8 with Christian Wilcox in the 53 to his outside in 16th. Just a couple more rows of cars, Miguel Campo in 17th. He'll have Tyler Meeks to his outside in 18th, and the last man in the field tonight is going to be Christopher Logan starting in 19th. Looking at your race info, Bristol Motor Speedway, one of the toughest tracks on the entire schedule, only a half a mile in length, but 28 degrees of banking in the corners, so just a couple degrees short of what we see at a track like Daytona or Talladega. Lap times here in the 15-second range. Some of the keys here tonight, 150 laps, 80% fuel, 2 sets of tires. We've got that one fastest pair if you were to need it. Fixed setups as always, 2 green-white checkers, and now that we are under the lights, track temp has cooled well under 70 degrees. Well, we talked about Malik Ray getting it done last week. The big question is, can he find a way to do it again tonight? We are getting ready to find out. Here we go, third race of the season at Bristol Motor Speedway. Green flag is in the air, and maybe not. We're going to hold off one more pace lap for these guys before we officially get rolling. We'll let the anticipation build up just a little bit longer, and you see from Malik Ray here, a little bit bigger of a gap between where that pace car sits, and I got to think this is maybe actually a little bit of strategy so that he could get a better jump right out of the gate. Now, I believe the start of the race is obviously on green flag, so I don't know that the leader can necessarily get a jump once they roll into the restart zone. It is still something that we'll have to keep an eye on. I mentioned a couple of the guys that we didn't see last week, but we saw in the season opener. Watch that 18 red and white Supra of Philpott. See if he can get up here in the early portion of this race. Restart's going to be crucial. Time to get the first one of the night. Green flag is in the air. We are racing at Bristol. Everybody clean on lap 1 around Thunder Valley. So far, so good. Malik Ray quick to build about a half a second gap between himself and Bryce Rayner. Craig Janzak taking the opportunity starting on that second row. He was quick to get by the 74 Hennings. Puts himself up in the top 3, and then further back, these guys actually single filing out a lot quicker than what I would have initially expected here tonight. Now, we talked about that cooler track temp. Obviously, you got to think that's going to make this kind of more of a one-groove racetrack, but it is something we'll still keep an eye on. Obviously, Bristol, again, we talked about 28 degrees of banking. That's on the top lane as you go through the corners. Down on the bottom, it's a few degrees less, right at about 25. The whole purpose of that, to try to make this track multi-groove racing. We may actually be starting to see a few of these guys searching around already. This is back towards where Crabtree runs as he continues to try to work to the inside here of Jared Philpott. That is the battle for ninth. Philpott using that momentum on the outside line. He'll keep that position for now. Back at the front, the top three already trying to scoot away from everybody else. First three still within a second of each other, but then it's about 1.5 seconds back for Brian Hennings, the gap between himself and leader Malik Ray. Watch how technical this track is, obviously, and well, hold that thought. Caution for the first time here tonight. This is trouble a little bit further back here. Makes you wonder, was this potentially Kevin Kircher? I don't think so. Saw him a little slow, but it's actually Crabtree who has taken that car to the pits, so the 54 likely involved in this incident. Saw some reports that there may have been one other car, possibly the 18 of Jared Philpott, and trying to look to see if there's any damage on any corners of his Toyota Supra, and I don't really see much. So it looks like that car is still pretty clean at the moment. If anything, maybe a little bump there somewhere on the right rear, but that would be about the extent of it. Now, cautions are going to be a lot quicker here because the pace laps are short, so we'll go back and get a replay this right away, and well, there's your answer. There was a little bit of damage to the rear of the 18, and here's why. It's going to be going into turn one, and this looks like a little bit of contact. Oh, man, that's a big hit for Crabtree and Chris Logan, who had nowhere to go. And so that explains where a couple of these guys got all their damage from. Watch this again. You see Kevin Kirchar. He did get a little bit of contact. I don't think that 5 car's too bad, but it's a question of what happens as they go into the corner. Watch it from the spotter stand. I'm not sure if, Crabtree just wasn't expecting the 18 to check up that much or if he just ships it in the corner too hard, but you could definitely tell there was a misjudgment in the speed difference between those two. Crabtree runs right into the back of him, and then Christopher Logan just on-rushing with nowhere to go. That's a big hit. Watch this again from the onboard view here for Chris Logan. And the corners here are so banked that you're almost blind for a minute on what the exit of the corner looks like by the time he sees it. I mean, you can get on the brakes, but you're going over 100 miles an hour here. Just nowhere near enough time to slow down and try to miss that one. So first caution of the night falls within the first 10 laps of this 150-lap, 75-mile event. If you're just joining us, we appreciate you being here. You are watching the Grindstone Developments Racing Series live from the Last Great Coliseum. Bristol Motor Speedway mentioned that this is the first of really about a 4 or 5 race stretch of nothing but short track action. So we're going to see, I think, really the guys who are going to be going at it for the championship defined over the next couple of weeks. Obviously, a guy like Bryce Rayner and Craig Janzak going to be 2 of the favorites. They are both previous champions. Then Malik Ray comes in this season, one of the Coke Series drivers, and has been absolutely dominant up to this point. We'll have to see if he's able to continue that trend. And, one thing that is worth mentioning, we'll talk about the points later, but everybody's got a drop race. So I know I'm using Malik Ray here as an example, but there's still a lot of other guys that, they're running in the top 3, top 5 in points, but maybe they missed a race or they're going to miss a race. The beauty of that drop race is if you only miss one, it's not going to affect your point standings. All right, ready to try this once again. It'll be Malik Ray and Bryce Rayner on the front row for the restart, just like the initial start. And for Rayner here, trying to match the 88 on the restart, not going to be able to do it. Great jump from Malik Ray. He'll easily get clear by the time they go into turn 1. 88 is going to try to stretch it out here early. Let's see further back. These guys get a little bit more dicey now that this is really the first restart. Everybody's got a chance to feel their cars out a little bit. From the onboard view now, this is Harley Barletta in the 31 working to the inside here of Brad Thacker. He's going to work really hard to try to get this position as soon as he can. He knows the importance of it. See the dashboard telemetry there on the bottom right of your screen. These guys, again, running sub 15-second laps here at Bristol Motor Speedway. For a track that's only half a mile in length, going almost 140 down the straightaway. Certainly shows you what makes this track so unique. You got to be really careful, though, here on the exit of the corners. It's so easy to get a little bit loose. Try to put the throttle down a little bit too soon. It is very, very easy to spin yourself out here. So that's Harley Barletta. We'll continue to keep a close eye on him back towards the front of the field. Here's the 87 of Bryce Rayner. Qualified in that second spot. Now, we know that Bryce normally likes to save a little bit of tire. Makes me wonder, though, if he tries something a little different. He's going to be taking notes, seeing what Malik Ray's doing, and trying to obviously match it to the best of his ability. Now, one of the other drivers that we have seen be good on short tracks before, especially when we were in the late model series, was Tyler Meeks. Comes into this race here tonight after starting 18th, already up to 16th. So I know he's only picked up a couple of spots, but I would say so far so good. He's been able to keep that car clean, and obviously for Meeks, he found himself caught up in a couple of incidents last week at Rockingham. So he's looking for kind of a rebound race, if you will, here tonight at Bristol. We do have a couple of driver cams that I do want to get to here tonight. We'll get to these here in just a moment. Start first with a couple of our Digital SimSport teammates. I do want to go back up front, as that is Bryce Rayner and Craig Janzak. As you see right there on the bottom right of your screen, we'll actually start first here with Bryce Rayner. Currently has himself in a good spot. Talked about sitting second. That's where he started the race at. We'll continue running there as we go through the rest of it. And then just a spot behind him, Craig Janzak continues to chase. I think these two will definitely have some fire over the last, I'd say, quarter of the season, especially as we get back to some of the more mile-and-a-half and bigger tracks, but definitely favorites just about everywhere you go. By the way, these two ran the 12 Hours of Sebring for the iRacing officials together and actually won in one of the higher splits, so congrats to those two for that. Further back in the field, Brock Westmoreland in the 25. He's been Mr. Consistency since the start of the season as well. He won Daytona, and at Rockingham, he was able to have a pretty good run as well. Got himself up inside the top 5 by the time it was all said and done. And as a result, he currently sits tied with Malik Ray for the points lead. Harley Barletta currently sitting in that 6th position. William Mann Jr. back in 7th. Brad Thacker 8th, and then actually as you get back just before the top 10, or just inside the top 10 rather, Miguel Campo was trying to fend off a charging Kevin Kirchar right here in the 5 Grindstone Developments Camaro. That 19 car really going to have to be careful here as caution back out once again. This is trouble with Harley Barletta. 31 has looped it on the front straight away, that bright yellow Menards machine. Good news is, well, I'll take it back. I was going to say the good news is I don't see a lot of damage. I see smoke out of the back, and that tells you everything you need to know. It does look like the front end might be caved in a little bit, and it sure is. So for Barletta, he has expired the motor with the contact, and he will have to take it into the pits and use his one and only fast repair here before the halfway point in this race. We'll go back and look at it here for Barletta. He had been having a pretty decent run. We rode on board with him not too long ago. Been working that inside line. We talked about some of the risk of when you run that bottom lane. It's very easy to get loose on a corner, coming off the corner exit rather, and actually that was the first caution, I think. So it was clean there. There we go. I was going to say it looked like it may have been coming out of the corner that he got loose, and here you go. He's trying to get the throttle down. The back end starts to step out, and now I'll tell you what, that was a decent shot, but I'm really surprised that that detonated the motor in that car. Not sure if that's part of the newer damage model with these O'Reilly cars or what the case is, but definitely didn't seem like enough contact to give him that sort of damage. But either way, there's going to be a fresh car needed for the 31. Back this up one more time. You see the onboard view here, but take a listen to the RPMs as he's getting out of the corner here. Tires were warmed up, but just man, it steps out on him so quick. There's just not much you can do, and I mean, he did the right thing by jamming on the brakes basically the second it started to slide on him, but just really nowhere to run here at Bristol. Usually when you either spin out or wreck, you're going to hit something. That's exactly what the case was right here for Barletta. And you saw the slide from the TV static view. Everybody else able to get by here without incident. So it's only a one-car caution here for our second yellow flag of the night. Well, we've got a little bit of a shakeup now here on the front row. This is a bit of an interesting strategy play as Malik Ray decided to go into the pits for 4 tires. I'm not sure for Rayner and Janzak if they also pit but just didn't take 4 tires or if they took less overall. You know what? We got time, so let's go back and look at it here. This was pit road entry here just a lap or 2 ago. As you see right there, Malik Ray does go in. And he may have been by himself here. Yeah, Janzak and Rayner choosing to stay out. We'll talk about what this could mean for fuel strategy amongst a few other things in just a moment. But for Ray here with that double pit lane, he's got to go all the way around right here. So his pit box not on the front stretch. Instead, it's going to be on the back stretch here. Or is this something else? His pit box should be there. And in fact, this might actually be the front stretch. It's always a little tough to tell here at Bristol. It starts to get mixed up a couple of times. Yeah, he is on the front stretch, but I forgot you have to enter the pits on the back stretch, and Looks like he goes in, and the call is fuel only. So that's an interesting decision as we go back live now. Green flag is back in the air. Apologies for missing the restart, but was very curious as to what the strategy play there was from the 88 machine. Nonetheless, though, for Rayner and Janzak, they got off to a great jump through this restart. And those two are going to try to build as much of a lead as they can. Again, no tire advantage for the 88 of Malik Ray. That car's been fast, but for the rest of these guys back here, they're going to be holding pretty even as well. A little bit of a hornet's nest as you get back towards about that 9th, 10th, and 11th position here. Brian Hennings in the 18 of Jared Philpott trying to get around the 72 of Kirsch. They've not been able to do so just yet. The 18 will dive it in. A little bit of a slide job. Ooh, watch out. Contact. They're going to go 3 wide. That's really tough to do here at Bristol. Everybody's going to survive it, as I believe. Was that maybe the 53? No, that was actually the 69 of Stephen Pless. What an impressive move that was to get himself a 2-for-1 pass. As he goes around Hennings and the 72 of Joshua Kirsch. Kevin Kirchar here losing a couple of positions on this restart, but overall it's been a solid night so far. For the 5 car, he started outside the top 15, currently running inside the top 10. And obviously a big key here is going to be trying to make sure that he keeps this car clean as we go throughout the course of this run. We talked about for Kevin Kirchar, the start of the season at Daytona, involved in a big-time wreck late there. Last week at the Rock, not exactly going the way he wanted it to there either. So currently sits 24th in the point standings. Kevin Kirchar here, he is really looking for a rebound night himself here at the Last Grade Coliseum. Well, everybody talks about what it means to win on these different tracks. Daytona obviously considered one of the crown jewels. But as far as the short track world goes, I think Bristol's got to be right at the top of that list. Talk about this being such a difficult track. There's such a rhythm that you have to build here, and if you mess up even just one lap, it can take you out of that rhythm so easily. Now, this is going to be the first real battle for the lead that we have seen tonight, as Craig Janzak has tracked his teammate Bryce Rayner down. Maybe looking to see if he can make a pass here, potentially over the next couple of laps. The onboard view here for Craig Janzak, just very, very focused here. Very methodical wheel movements. You can hear how patient he is with trying to get the throttle back down. Started in that 4th spot, been running top 3 since, and once the 88 made that pit stop under the last caution, these two have been able to take advantage from that point. So now this gets a little bit interesting here, and I say that for a couple of reasons. So I'm trying to think when these guys, the initial call for fuel strategy would be that they can make it somewhere between about 80 to 100 laps on a tank of gas. Now with that second caution, you saw obviously Malik Ray go in. I don't think obviously that he can make it to the end, but he'll definitely be able to go probably 15 to 25-ish laps longer than everybody else. Now when they do go in for a pit stop, I would assume everybody takes 4 tires. And so if you're going to be waiting on tires anyway, I don't know if I see a major advantage in that strategy for Malik Ray. And basically what I'm trying to get at here is I'm very curious if we can get to green flag stops. Well, go ahead and scratch that because caution is back out once again. This time it's an issue with Tyler Meeks. And it looks like the 7 car had that incident potentially somewhere. I think that was on the backstretch. Let's see, we'll come around here across the start-finish line. Don't see any damage to his Ford Mustang. And so we talked about Meeks earlier, wanting to have a good race here tonight, being fast on short tracks before, but this is definitely not the way he wanted to start it. He was involved in an incident last week at Rockingham, and looks like he will likely be the cause of our 3rd caution. Yep. Just up on the high side of the racetrack, gets into the marbles, and the car goes around. Unlike the 31 of Barletta, though, looks like he gets pretty lucky. Doesn't run into anything, just a spin, and slides down the banking and out of harm's way. He was way up the racetrack. Well, I'll tell you what, you can hear it there just from the cockpit view, and he was trying everything just to get out of the gas and keep it out of the wall, and instead it ends up spinning around on him. It makes you wonder if there was an issue as he got into the corner here. Watch this. As he gets in the corner, gets way up the track. No, he never hits the wall. You got to think that maybe just putting a lot of wheel into it to try to keep it off the wall, and eventually the back end starts to rotate, and the rest is history. Not quite right in front of your leaders, but definitely a little close for comfort. You saw Bryce Rayner and Craig Janzak coming up in the picture right there. So as we go back live now, this obviously, I would assume, shakes the strategy up a little bit more. We're going to look at who decided to pit. This time we'll go through a little quicker so we don't miss the green flag. But Actually looks like it's going to be guys that are right around where Brad Thacker was running, mid-pack on back. Your 2 leaders, and then just about everybody else, including some of the guys that did pit under the last one, not choosing to go in this time either. That includes Malik Gray in the 88, who I think may have stayed out, figuring, listen, I don't want to lose any more track position to these two, even if I feel like I'm going to be on the better end of strategy. So we'll have to see if this restart plays out in his favor or not. Christian Wilcox started in 16th, currently sitting in that 6th spot. Beautiful looking colors on his Chevy Camaro. He's got the green and gray. Can't tell what sponsor he's got on board, but for Christian, one of the new drivers to the series this season. And he's been making the most of it so far. So we'll have to see if he can keep it going with a good run here tonight. Stephen Pless in the 69, I believe we heard a couple of these guys talking about teammates. Not sure if it was to Craig Janczak and Bryce Rayner or a separate team, but we have definitely seen, and well, this is going to answer that question. You just saw the Digital SimSport sticker on the side of his Mustang, so for Rayner and Janczak, they've actually got an expanded team here this season. To see what kind of run those guys can put together by the time it's all said and done. All right, well, lights are going to go off on the pace car once we cross the line this time. And that will signal 1 to go before we get back to green flag racing. And if you are just joining us, once again, we appreciate you being here. You are watching the Bristol 150, the Fast Track Sim Racing Series. Excuse me, not the Fast Track, the Grindstone Developments Racing Series. 3 cautions so far for 12 laps. Current leader Bryce Rayner. We have had a few lead changes, though. And getting close to that kind of 1/3 mark here in this race. 150 laps the scheduled distance. And it will be 46 in the books once we grab the green flag right here. All right, so we saw Rayner get the better jump last time. We'll see what Craig Janczak can do here. Obviously, these two got to work together to some extent, trying to run away from the 88 of Malik Gray. Green flag back in the air, and it's a good restart once again for the 87. He grabs the lead into turn 1. Janczak able to single file out pretty quickly. Now watch this battle right here. Malik Gray already to the inside of William Mann Jr. He'll get past the Sundrop Camaro. He's got one more car that he's got to get by. Whoa, that was a big wiggle right there for Miguel Campo in the 19 car. It's going to help Malik Gray out here just a little bit. Here's the onboard view for Campo. Right now, he has got to be really feeling the pressure here. He's got a coke driver behind him trying everything he can to fend for that spot. You notice there that he is really driving that car deep into the center of the corner and getting on the gas early. You hear those back tires start to slip just a little bit. That's the finite differences that can really come into play as you get late in a run. Listen to Malik Gray here as he goes to the corner. Notice how he's not really sliding the tires. He sees the 19 drift up right there. That was a big moment and a big catch for Campo. So Ray's going to go by the inside, but the point I was getting ready to make right there is you hear that for the 88, and if we hopped on the onboard view for a guy like Bryce Rayner or Craig Janczak, you'd likely hear the exact same. Tire saving, something that is so important at all the short tracks we're going to go to this season. Now, obviously, everybody's on a fixed setup, so you can't make any mechanical adjustments to the car. But anytime you get, well, I say a new set of tires. In this case, I don't know that a lot of these guys have obviously taken that set of tires yet, but the point I'm trying to make is that saving your tires is basically all you can do regarding how your car is going to handle and transition into the long run. Is got another caution. Once again, this one's a bigger incident. And it looks like it's going to be Brian Hennings and Kevin Kirchar. 5 cars destroyed. Brian Hennings is going to take it to the pits as well. Brock Westmoreland's got heavy nose damage to his Ford as well. And so your 4th caution of the night. This one may take out a couple of drivers. As we had just crossed the lap 50 marker. Let's go back and look at it here. As, oh man, this was a stack-up gone wrong. Wow, that was a huge hit for Hennings. Back it up to where this all started, though. It's actually Kevin Kirchar up here. The 5 car watches. They're going through the corner. It gets a little high. The 18 tries to cross him over, but it never gets there. It's just Kirchar gets high, and then as he's trying to turn that car back down the corner, it just kind of catches it in an odd spot. He's just loose. Talk about being up in the marbles and just not able to quite save this. And as he comes down the racetrack here, there's going to be just nowhere to go for Brian Hennings. He gets collected initially, and then eventually the 5's going to get turned into the inside wall. That's a huge hit for the 74 Hennings. That almost looked like some sort of netcode contact that shot that car up in the air. Watch this. This is a bizarre hit. I mean, he goes into the window net of Brock Westmoreland and then bounces off the track. Huge hit into the outside safer barrier, so that explains why that car gets destroyed. Maybe damaged, obviously, Brian Hennings as well. Let's go back and watch this here from the rear view camera. Kevin Kirchar. That is just an unbelievably awkward wreck there. For Brian Hennings, who, I thought maybe he had a chance at missing this initially, but just obviously nowhere to go here. See if we can get one more angle of this right here. This is the onboard view for Hennings, and again, watch this from his point of view. He sees it. Well, actually, can't see it from this angle, but he's going to see Kevin Kirchar getting loose. And look, he's trying to get down to miss it. He's jabbing on the brakes too, but there's the big hit. Man. So our fourth caution of the night, arguably the biggest wreck that we've had so far. A three-car incident, as you saw a couple of guys there right at the end, including Crabtree. They were able to sneak through the middle, survive any contact, and as we go back live for Brock Westmoreland, he has gotten that car cleaned up. Hennings still paying the tow bill, as is Kevin Kirchar. We'll have to see if those two Chevys can make their way back out onto the racetrack or not. So it looks like another shakeup in the strategy here for Craig Janczak, staying out on the racetrack. Same ordeal for Campo, William Mann Jr., Stephen Klesson, a couple other guys in the top 10, but for Bryce Rayner and Malik Ray, I believe that those two did decide to go in and take their first set of tires, which is going to be very interesting. Now, as far as pit strategy goes, it might be getting close on fuel. We'll talk about that in just a moment, but for the restart, green flag back in the air and another good jump for the front three. William Mann Jr. going to try to get this big arc off of turn 2, see if he can get enough momentum to get clear, but he can't do it. Campo does kiss the outside wall, but keeps enough momentum to stay even. So these two are going to continue to battle side by side. Watch for a lot of the big movers further back. Bryce Rayner and Malik Ray running nose to tail right now. You know that these two not going to spend a lot of time behind these guys. Heavy traffic, though, obviously something that's tough to deal with here at Bristol. Lap traffic itself has not been an issue yet. We haven't had a long enough green flag run, and man, for Bryce Rayner, you saw how close that got. The 88 of Malik Ray here, he's just going to try to play a little bit of follow the leader right now, see if he can sneak through all this chaos with Bryce Rayner and not use up his tires trying to split everybody. So we'll continue to keep an eye on them. Just a couple of spots up. Harley Barletta looking to the inside here. They can move on the 18 of Phil Pott. Brad Thacker up here trying to defend for that fourth spot. And William Mann Jr. last man on the podium, but he's starting to look a little bit like a moving blockade. These guys showing a lot of speed behind him, but right now the 29 has got that high side working. Kind of trapping Phil Pott right now. Can't quite go around Thacker to make that move to the inside of William Mann Jr. A little bit of contact right there. These two got to be careful. Man, Thacker really slid up the racetrack. Phil Pott's going to go a lane lower, almost 3 wide. Now he'll get to the inside. So Bryce Rayner, he's going to try to follow through as well. It looks like Rayner did get a little bit of an advantage right there. The 88 of Ray getting trapped behind the 31 of Barletta. They're 2 wide out in front of him right now. And meanwhile, that battle for the lead is not much of a battle. Craig Janczak, this may be the quickest gap we have seen anybody create all night. As just as I say it, caution. Going to come back out. Try to figure out who this one was for. John Ledger is in the pit, so I don't believe it was. Actually, it is going to involve John Ledger and Miguel Campo, excuse me. And for Campo right here, he's got a little bit of front damage there on the left side. Going to be borderline on whether or not he has to take his fast repair. Fifth caution of the night. And so it looks like this car, trying to figure out from that angle if he made contact with the wall or another car first. There's a little bit of damage on the rear bumper. That may tell the story of what initially took place here between him and Ledger, who's definitely got some nose damage there. His Monster Energy Suit Russell. Let's go back and get a look at it here. Oh man, no, it's actually going to be a big hit right there for Ledger. So Campo was part of a separate incident here. This actual caution, it looks like, only involved Ledger. See, as they're coming off of... Oh man, he just gets loose. That was off of turn 2. We've seen a very similar setup for a couple of drivers here tonight. And I think he knew that he broke the motor out of that car the second he had the impact. These hits have been unforgiving so far at Bristol tonight. Watch it again. Just gets loose on him, locks it down, but slide down that 25 degrees plus of banking, and it just doesn't really leave anywhere for you to go. Now for The 19 of Campo here, I'm not really sure. Was this contact from a different lap, or was this what happened here? Went off the corner. Oh no, he gets loose and makes contact with the inside wall. So that makes me wonder which drew the caution. Is it Ledger or was it this incident? Either way, that was some decent contact to the left side, but overall pretty good save right there. The 19, both 19 cars. So we will gear up to try this once again now as Craig Janczak has had to finally go in and use his first set of tires. Jared Philpott now leads the way. Brad Thacker second, and then it's Bryce Rayner and Harley Barletta back in row 2. Malik Ray rounding out the top 5. Brock Westmoreland, Tyler Meeks, Christian Wilcox, Joshua Kirsch all inside the top 10 as we get ready for this restart. We have well over 50 laps in the books now. Still not quite to the halfway point in this race just yet. We're starting to get pretty close. So I believe everybody should be either good or really, really close to making it on fuel. We get the green flag right here. By the way, if you're just joining us, we appreciate you being here. You are watching the Grindstone Developments Racing Series live from Thunder Valley. iRacing.com pace car makes the left turn once again. As Philpott leads us back into the restart zone. Green flag back in the air. It's a good jump for the 18 car. He'll grab the lead as they climb the banking into turn 1. And watch to see if for Ray and Rayner they get a little bit more aggressive on this restart. Quickly able to shuffle up to that second and third spot. Malik Ray's car blinked out there briefly. Looks like he has returned. So they're able to get clear. The 56 of Thacker. Just one more car to chase. Now, if you're Rayner here, it's an interesting dilemma because you know he obviously wants the clean air. It does make a difference here at Bristol. And at the same time, he also is going to be trying everything that he can to keep Malik Ray behind him for as long as possible. And for Ray right here, he's getting shifty already, experimenting with a couple of different lines. You notice he runs that middle on entry, trying to get that big arc down on exit to get the run. He's going to do it. The 88's going to look 3 wide here, but he thinks better of it. Just trying to put some pressure in the mirror of Bryce Rayner. Rayner's going to get clear of the 18 of Philpott. Ray will follow him through. Just like a typical short track Saturday night, bumper to bumper here at Bristol. 71 of 150 complete. We are just 4 laps away from halfway. The aggression has not calmed down much. All the cautions we've seen so far tonight have really kind of sparked in the back of the field as so we turn now. You saw the 19 there of Campo. He's trying to get back up inside the top 10 after his issues during that last yellow. And for Craig Janczak here, I would assume he's on fresher tires, but obviously still struggling a little bit to get all his track position back. Man, if we get a caution inside, I'd say probably about 30 or 40 laps here at Bristol, it's going to make a big difference. And I think this is a little bit interesting here. I would assume these two are likely on equal tire strategy. Malik Ray and Bryce Rayner, that is, they were staying pretty close there as they were catching the 18. But it just seems like Rayner is starting to scoot away right now. It makes me wonder if Malik Ray content to just try to save a little bit of tire so he's got something later on in this run. As he watches Bryce Rayner continue to stretch that gap out right now, almost up to a second for the 87 machine. So maybe for Bryce Rayner, he's going with the opposite strategy. He's going to run this thing as hard as he possibly can right now and hope for either a caution, potentially that he can build a big enough gap to try to hold on through the rest of this race. Well, we talked about some of the carnage so far here tonight at Bristol. 15th on back. Multiple laps down or out of this race. That includes Zachary Crabtree, who is in that 15th spot. Ryan Hennings did make it back out on the racetrack, but sitting in 16th, 4 laps down after being involved in one of our last couple of cautions. John Ledger has also returned to the racetrack. He currently sits in 17th, and it's Christopher Logan 18th. Kevin Kirchar is actually the only driver that has retired from this race. So 1.3 seconds now the lead for Bryce Rayner as he continues to try to pull away from second place Malik Ray here at Bristol. I'll tell you what, Jared Philpott, I know he lost the lead pretty quickly, but he's doing a pretty good job here of trying to maintain at least some sort of relative speed to the leaders. As he sits, let's say, right about a half to maybe a little bit more of a second back behind the 88 of Malik Ray. Craig Janczak, who currently sits in 4th. I wonder if there's some fresher tires on that 97 car. That would kind of be what I would assume here, based off when he went into pit. And if that is the case, does he have enough stuff to get up there and try to chase down the race leader? I would say if this race can obviously go green the rest of the way, maybe Craig Janczak finds himself in a pretty good spot, but if we get another caution, that would certainly throw a wrench in the strategy. So the fire out of the pipes right there for Janczak, as he'll continue to chase after Philpott right here from Malik Ray. That gap has started to equalize out just a little bit now, 1.3 seconds. We'll see if it stays that way, continues to stretch, or starts to close here over the next couple of laps. And again, under the assumption here, I mean, we went back green with just a little under 70 laps complete. And we think these guys can make it somewhere between about 80 and 100 laps on a tank of gas. If that were to be the case, then you would have to assume that everybody, at least inside the top 5 to top 10, are good to go for the rest of the way in this one if we don't get a yellow. Bristol, obviously the third race of the season here tonight. A lot of short track action still to come, though. A lot of different forms. In fact, we'll take a look at the schedule right here, and you can see it. We're going to be headed off to South Boston next week. That is an even tougher track, in my opinion, than what we see here tonight at Bristol. Then it's off to North Wilkesboro, followed by the Monster Mile, and then Richmond, the last short track, before we get a couple of bigger tracks in Talladega, and then Legacy, Atlanta. And then the season, of course, wraps up Paperclip, Martinsville Speedway. Let's go back to full screen here. Talking about lap count and strategy, 86 of 150, and from Malik Ray here, we're starting around that hill. You can see it, the 87 actually had to go by a lap car right there, but even so, the 88 of Malik Ray has closed that gap down to right about a second. So he's picked up a couple of tenths over the last couple of laps, and we'll look at lap times here in just a moment. Check out the track map, though. Even with only 19 cars in the field, and again, one of those is retired, you can tell just how busy Bristol gets here. I still think lap traffic could become a factor here if this race continues to stay green. Not a ton of traffic. We're about another half a track right now in front of your current leader. But at some point here, if this race stays green long enough, that will definitely become a factor. A lot of times, whoever can maneuver lap traffic better, the driver that's able to prevail when it's all said and done. So obviously we're watching the distance here from kind of our zoomed out cam from Malik Ray. Continues to close that gap up here on Bryce Rayner, and you see the difference in lap time over the last 5. Malik Ray consistently faster here by between about half a tenth and a tenth every single lap. So the 88 continues to close, and I mean, for Rayner, when he gets there, what do you really do? These cars obviously not as affected by dirty air as what we would see in, say, the Cup car here, but you still certainly take a guy's line away and try to do anything you can to fend him off. So we'll get back to that battle as it closes up just a little bit more, but Craig Janczak has made it up to third. He's about 1.7 seconds behind your race leader, so he's still got a lot of gap to make up. If Rayner can get into it, though, with Malik Ray, that may help the 97 out. The 18 of Philpott still fourth, and then fifth on back here, still all within about a second of each other. William Mann Jr., Harley Barletta, Brad Thacker, and Christian Wilcox all chasing after that 6th position. Then you've got Miguel Campo in 9th, so he has made it back to the top 10. And then Brock Westmoreland and Tyler Meeks going to be going at it here for that final spot inside the top 10. It'll be 95 of 150 complete when we cross the line next time. And Bryce Rayner still leads, but that 88 getting bigger and bigger in his mirror. At some point here, if you're Rayner, do you try to find a different line, as it looked like Crabtree there was going to the pits? Or do you just stick to what works? Obviously, you got to wonder, did Rayner get that big gap, but has he been trying to save some stuff since then? I just don't think that's the case. I think Malik Ray has just found a little bit more speed or saved a little bit more tire. So we'll have to see what the 87 can do. Here's the gearbox view. Now, when he gets there, obviously there's a couple of things you can do to play a little bit of defense, but it just gets so tough sometimes. You know, obviously, if you're Malik Ray here, you're kind of on offense, so you've got a little bit less to lose. But the 87 Rayner here, I think he feels like if he loses that clean air, it may be really tough to get it back. And here's what you got to watch out for. Watch what that 88 of Malik Ray is doing. Entering the corner just a little bit higher than the 87. At least he does when he gets a little bit closer, trying to kind of wrap that car on the exit of the corner to get that momentum. No, he's going to go for it here. Rayner was not able to cover the move. Malik Ray is going to get to the inside, side by side, door to door, coming off the corner. Whoa! A little bit of contact right there as Ray got together with Rayner. They all keep it together. Watch out. Here comes the crossover. Rayner tried, but he just doesn't have enough momentum to do it. We're going to go by a couple more lap cars here. That's John Ledger all the way on the high side. And what did I say? That little bit of a battle did bring Craig Janczak right back into the mix, the 97. How much speed does he have in those Goodyear tires compared to your 2 leaders? Well, we've got one good way to compare it. We just looked at lap times. For obviously the leader in second place, Malik Ray faster, but then check this out. For Craig Janczak, he has been running faster than both of them over the last several laps. That time, Malik Ray was actually a little bit quicker. This is what we'll have to watch. And, of course, if you're Bryce Rayner, obviously you're going to fight for that second spot. But there is the question of, do you let your teammate go here to see if he can go try to chase down and get racy with the 88 of Malik Ray? And so 102 of 150 laps in the books here at Bristol Motor Speedway. The further back in the pack you go, though, there's a lot of close battles, but it's all single file right now, so nothing that screams out any sort of, potential cause of caution here. And I say that to say that if we continue to go at the pace we are, this race is going to be over pretty quickly, so these guys have got to really start to figure it out. Digital Sim Sports teammates, that is, but there is some heavy lap traffic that is going to come into the mix here for Malik Ray. I would say probably within about the next 5 laps or so. There's Jason Nethery and about 4 other cars just in front of him, and some of those guys still on the lead lap. And when you lose your first lap, you're obviously kind of tempted to race a lot more aggressive to try to stay on that lead lap in case a caution were to fly. So it looks like Malik here is going to be able to get around the 34 Nethery, no issues there. So it'll be another lap or so before the 88 really has to worry about any more lap traffic. But Bryce Rayner here, he has now fallen to right at about half a second back from your race leader. And then Craig Janczak is still holding steady in that 3rd spot. Less than 50 laps to go here at Bristol. Again, not thinking that another pit stop, at least under green, is going to be in the cards for these top 3. So it's all about trying to race for track position the rest of the way. While a caution doesn't look likely right now, it is certainly something that can happen any time here at Bristol. If we had a caution inside about 50 to 40 laps to go, which we are getting close to, it's going to be really, really tricky on what do you want to do, go in for fresh tires or stay out, with the worry that we see a lot more cautions to finish this one off. As Malik Ray continues to lead here at Thunder Valley, we are going to take a quick break. Go get yourself a drink, grab a snack. We will be right back, and you won't miss a thing. We're going to go side by side here from Bristol.
I played a couple of simulators, and this was like very responsive, especially the hydraulics and stuff, the motion and stuff was really, really on point.
But you feel like you're really driving, it feels real.
It adds so much to the experience. It's just really, really cool.
It was pretty awesome.
Welcome back to Bristol Motor Speedway. Apologies for popping up the logo, but you get the idea. We are racing in race number 3 here for the Grindstone Developments Racing Series, and you saw all the action while we were on nonstop. Some of the lap traffic playing together for Bryce Rayner as he was able to get the lead back from the 88 of Malik Ray, but still enough laps that could change here. 119 of 150 in the books, so we can get 31 laps to go when we cross the line next time. I'll tell you what, for a moment too, it looked like Craig Janczak was going to have enough speed to also try to get by that 88 car, but he just couldn't quite make it work. So he'll have to group up and try this once again. Now for the 88 of Malik Ray, again, it looked like the lap traffic obviously played a bit of a role, but it's interesting here. He's not really chasing him back down. And I'm just so curious to obviously hear from these guys at the end about what strategies and mind games they were playing with each other. As you see the 72, watch out, man, that was Joshua Kirsch. It's a close call right there for Craig Janczak. And we're starting to get late in this run. In fact, this is the longest green flag run that we have had so far tonight. So these tires are worn out for everybody throughout the field. And that starts to get you a little bit more nervous about the possibility of a caution. Obviously, we talked about the weather at the start of the race. Sim temp in the 70s, track temp is in the 70s as well. No wind, not that it would play much of a factor here anyway. And obviously being under the lights, track temp being on the cooler side, there's certainly a lot more grip here at Bristol than what we have seen during the day when this track can get hot and slick. Rayner has now stretched that gap out to 0.7 of a second over Malik Ray. Janczak has faded just a little bit, but for Philpott here, he is also still hanging within about a second of third place. So you can't count him out either here. Meanwhile, for Harley Barletta, as it stands for him right now is... Actually, let me go back here and look at it. For Philpott right here, he's actually in 5th, so I'm going to take that back here. He's actually way back. I was looking at the wrong car for a moment. For Christian Wilcox, that is actually the driver who is currently sitting in 4th, but he is actually 9 seconds back. So it's really just your top 3 that are all within somewhat proximity of each other. Everybody else hoping for a caution before this thing's all said and done here in 25 laps. So once we get to, I would say, about 15 laps to go, that's when, if that gap has not really changed much, I think we're going to have a pretty good idea of who is able to outplay who here regarding the strategy game. But for the 88 of Malik Ray right now, obviously a second place finish would still be very significant for him after the great start to his season, getting that win last week at Rockingham, and of course having that drop race from Daytona. Now for a guy like Christian Wilcox here, who currently sits in that 12th spot, this is going to also be a big boost of momentum for him if he can finish the race off this way. Obviously, he started outside the top 15 as well, but he's been grinding all night long to try to get himself back inside the top 5. He has done that. 21 laps to go. I got to think he's one of the guys that would arguably be okay if this race ends under green. And remember, it's not until we grab the white flag that the race is obviously official. They talk about that they go by quick here. In theory, if this race were to stay completely green, we're likely going to wrap things up here within just about the next 5 or 10 minutes. As that is how quickly laps can go by here at Bristol. So for the 31 of Barletta, again, currently finds himself in that 6th spot. Been watching him and Tyler Meeks here to see if the Mustang for Meeks is going to be able to find a way back around the 31. He's running that lower groove. It looks like it's a little bit faster overall, but it's a tough area to try to complete that pass in. So he might have to search around just a little bit more right here, but it looks like he is content where he stands at the moment. Miguel Campo currently at 8th. And here we go. Craig Janczak is going to have to go around the 19. That is one of the lappers. Looks like he'll get by without any issues. By the way, you see it on your scoring tower. Just 7 cars left on the lead lap, and it's likely going to be even less than that. Barletta and Meeks both getting ready to be put a lap down here by Bryce Rayner. And it's going to be close on if Philpott gets lapped before this thing is all said and done. But I definitely think Rayner seems to have the better car at this point. I'm not sure if he just saved a little more tire than what he was kind of looking like or what the case is. But once Malik Ray lost that track position back after getting it, he has just not been able to get anywhere even close to the 87 from that point. And So once we're going to be closing in on 15 laps to go. The other thing that's worth watching here is going to be, well, actually for Janzak right here, I was going to say, could he potentially catch up to Malik Ray? But it looks like he's also really starting to fall off. He is about a second now behind that 88 car, and a little bit of time lost right there for Bryce Rayner. Not sure what the issue was, but Malik Ray is going to be able to hold it back down to a second. Still don't think that's enough time, but oh man, was that a big stack up. The 34 Nethery jammed on the brakes. I think he actually got into the outside wall, but that big checkup was right in front of Meeks and your race leader. That was quite the scare. Meanwhile, for Malik Ray here, he's going to go by the inside of both of these guys. No challenge there. So he'll get it back down to about 9/10 of a second, but there is still a lap car separating him and the 87 of Rayner, and that is the 7 of Tyler Meeks. So watch out, Jason Nethery here seeing an issue. Caution! Oh man, the one thing that I know Bryce Rayner did not want to see. And I think he's going, are you kidding me? Well, this is going to set us up for a late race restart, and oh boy. And look at this. All 3 of your race leaders going to hit the pits. They know that there's not a lot of cars on the lead lap. They know how important tires are. So this is not that surprising of a strategy here. The call is going to be 4 tires for all of these top 3. And likely, I should say, everybody who comes into the pits right here, as we will gear up for this final restart. I don't think it's going to quite be overtime, but it's definitely going to be getting pretty close. And for Malik Ray, I mean, really pushing the red line right here. Check this out. Right on the back bumper. He wants to get as good of a pit stop as he can to potentially try to gain a position through the pits here on the 87 of Rayner. And looks like they both got in pretty clean here. Let's see. Malik Ray's got the advantage of that first pit box. Rayner's a little bit quicker, but it's not by much. Watch as they drop the jack here. Who gets out? Oh, it's close. Looks like Rayner's going to get him at the line. And that is a huge benefit for Bryce Rayner. He definitely needed that track position. So I believe that he should get to restart as the leader here. We'll get more on that in just a moment. I do want to go back here and look at what the issue was for Jason Nethery. Let's see if we can back this up. 34 slow. Did he have an issue here? Well, he'd been in the wall for quite some time. See that? That car obviously still functioning here, and gets it off the wall, goes down the track, see him hit the downshift, so looks like he's bringing it to a halt, and stops down on the pits. Now, one thing I couldn't tell is the caution lights had already been on by that point. I didn't think that they were. Either way, that's a tough break for Jason Nethery and really everybody. Obviously not wanting that caution or the timing in which it fell out. I'm going to back this up one more time because I'm so curious here to see if we can see any sort of caution lights anywhere on the racetrack to see if it was already out or not when he came to a halt. See, it's green there, it's green there. Still green, and then soon after he parked it, that's when I saw the caution. So I'm going to assume that's what it was for. Either way, though, we're going to turn our attention back up front as we gear up for this restart. Now, again, just in terms of the way they line up, it actually looks like it might be Malik Ray being scored as your leader, so maybe he did get the jump out of the pits. I thought it looked like Rayner beat him out, but you can see the 88's got the nose out in front. See if they stay that way here once they get the one-to-go signal. And this is it. I mean, you run, what, 145 laps here at Bristol, and it all comes down to just a couple to decide who's going to win it tonight. One thing that's going to be really important right here is the restart. I think with new tires, tire spin shouldn't be a major issue, but man, you are going to have to be able to match the leader, as now all of a sudden you see Rayner jolt ahead briefly. Maybe he is the leader. And we'll know here is by the time they go into turn 3, regardless, whichever one of these two is taking us back into the restart zone, they're going to have the advantage. They'll get to go first, but obviously you've got to make sure you try to match that jump as close as you possibly can. And so for Bryce Rayner right here, currently sitting on that high side, watch closely. It looks like it is going to indeed be Malik Ray that will be in control. It is going to be just a few lap shootout to decide it here tonight at Bristol. Here we go. Nope, take it back. Scratch it. We're going to run one more pace lap. We'll build the anticipation a little bit longer. Gives us a chance, though, to give you one more race recap before this is all said and done. Again, 144 of 150 complete. 3 lead changes so far here tonight. Malik Ray currently leads the way. 6 cautions for 25 laps. Not too bad, all things considered, for a 150-lap race here, but looks like it will officially be a 6-lap shootout to decide it. So if we do get another caution, there is a chance that we could head into overtime. We're going to widen out the camera because there is going to be a lot of action here over the course of these first couple of laps. This is a full-on sprint to decide it in the Bristol 150. As Malik Ray leads us back into the restart zone. Green flag back in the air. Great jump for the 88 car. He's going to get clear of Rayner as they dive into turn 1. A little bit of an issue out back for Chris Logan. He's slow on the apron. He'll let everybody go by. Lots of 2x2, and get an eye on that battle for the lead in just a moment. Got to watch out back here for Craig Janczak. He is going to try to tear through the field to get as much position as he can right here. He still finds himself trapped behind some of those cars. For the 88 of Malik Ray, he's been able to separate about a 3 to 4/10 of a second gap between himself and Bryce Rayner, and now caution is back out once again. I believe this time it might be for an issue with the 19. And that is Miguel Campo. So it looks like we will be heading to overtime here at the Last Great Coliseum as the 19 does get back going. I don't see any damage to his car. You got to assume this is maybe another innocent spin, but in this case, I think it's Malik Ray who really didn't want to see that caution. Looked like he was hoisting the sails, but we'll have to fight one more restart here to try to fend off Bryce Rayner. Let's go back and get a look at what happened here. Just coming off the corner, trying to get in the gas. He's running that high side of the racetrack. Haven't seen as many cars running up there tonight, and that's probably why. Just a lot looser. Goes around, but again, does a good job there of being able to save it. And he was eventually able to get back rolling and lose a little bit of track position, but again, no damage to that car. I think he's okay here for one more restart. So no more pit stops going to be expected, especially for any of your race leaders. This might be a break for Craig Janczak. Malik Ray, Bryce Rayner, they'll line up on the front row once again. Jared Philpott third and Harley Barletto fourth. And there's Craig Janczak. We'll restart here in fifth. As we do get ready for this restart here, we're going to take one more quick side-by-side break. We'll get everything geared up and ready. It'll be a 2-lap shootout to decide it. Stick with us. We'll be right back for the finish here at Bristol. Welcome back to Bristol Motor Speedway. It's going to be an overtime shootout, 2 laps to decide it. If the leader takes the white flag, the race will be official. Malik Ray trying to make it back-to-back wins. Green flag in the air, 2 laps to go at Bristol. Much better restart this time for the 87 of Rayner. He might have a shot at it. Down the back stretch, no run yet for the 87, but they're both going to ship it off into turn 3. Off of turn 4, we're going to keep it clean. White flag in the air. 1 lap to go at Bristol. Rayner's going to have maybe one more shot. The question is, does he use the bumper? Final time down into turn 3. Malik Ray trying to hold on. He will. It's going to be back-to-back wins. Now there's the contact, but it's not enough. Malik Ray wins it at Bristol. 2 in a row for the 88 as Bryce Rayner comes up just 1 spot short. And Craig Janczak's able to fight his way back to the podium. I didn't think he would get there, but man, coming off of turn 4, it looked like for a moment maybe Bryce Rayner was going to have something for that 88, but just not quite enough. And it's another good finish here tonight at Bristol. Not quite a photo finish, but still an exciting one nonetheless. Man, official gap there as that race ended was 0.08 of a second, which for a super speedway, maybe not that impressive, but for a short track, definitely pretty close. As you see your podium finishers there on the bottom of your screen. Again, second win of the season for Malik Ray. He will now take the lead in most wins so far this season, as we are now officially 3 races in. Well, before we grab your top 3 for interviews, do want to take the chance here to look at your finishing results here tonight. Again, Malik Ray is your race winner of the Bristol 150. A great job tonight. He led a fair amount of laps and was able to bring it home when it was all said and done. For Bryce Rayner, comes up just 1 spot short, but second place finish still going to be good for his point standings. And it's another one of the Digital SimSport teammates, Craig Janzak, rounding out the top 3. Jared Philpott finishes 4th, Christian Wilcox in 5th. Miguel Campo takes home 6th. Good comeback for him. Brock Westerlin in 7th, with Harley Barletta 8th. William Mann Jr. 9th. And Brad Thacker rounding out the top 10. Tyler Meeks, maybe not the finish he wanted tonight. He'll finish in 11th. That's going to be Joshua Kirsch 12th. Stephen Pless in that 69 machine will take the 13th spot. Brian Hennings involved in that bad crash mid-race. He takes home 14th. John Ledger finishes in 15th. It'll be Zachary Crabtree in 16th. Christopher Logan in 17th. You've got Jason Nethery finishing back in that 18th spot. And the final driver to finish in the field here tonight in 19th was Kevin Kirchar. All right, well, we are going to go grab your top 3 for interviews. Stick with us. We'll be right back here at Bristol. All right, welcome back to Bristol Motor Speedway. We are going to kick things off first here tonight with your race winner. He has actually already joined us up here in the booth. That is the 88 of Malik Ray. Malik, this is Austin in the booth. You got a copy?
Austin, how you doing, man?
Well, good. This is 2 weeks and 2 wins for you back-to-back. You get it done here at Bristol tonight. I'll tell you what, though, before that caution came out, it looked like maybe you ran out of tires. What was going on?
On my first stop, I had well, it wasn't accidentally. I took rights on purpose because I was getting tight. So I was thinking that, like if I only took for rights, that it was going to loosen me up, and it did. And then it ended up being obviously too much, and I trolled myself. I should have just took 4, but I mean, I thought I was outsmarting everyone because I was wearing tight, so I thought that it was going to help it. It was going to help it free up some, and it obviously did. And then it ended up being entirely too much. But I got saved by that yellow. If it wasn't for that yellow, I'm pretty sure Bryce was going to win. I didn't have anything for him, so.
Well, obviously, we saw a lot of cautions here tonight, Malik. One thing I did want to ask, though, in that final kind of shootout there, the overtime finish, if you will, going into turn 4, it looked like you were good. Then we saw maybe just the slightest bit of contact coming off of the corner. What's going through your mind as a driver when you go to any of these short tracks and you've got a guy behind you that close? Are you worried about a bump and run? How do you try to protect against it?
I wasn't too worried about it in that scenario because I don't think he races like that. I don't race like that either. So, I wasn't too concerned about it on exit. I was just easing into the gas. I was just trying to make sure that, I didn't spin out or anything. So that's all, man. He's been racing me clean. So, I'm going to race him clean too.
Absolutely. And you guys battled all night. It was a fun one to watch. Again, Malik, second win for you. This is going to continue to help in the championship standings. So before we let you head out tonight, is there anyone you want to thank or shout out?
You guys for broadcasting, Grindstone Developments for their, their support of the whole series, JRM, PGR, Logitech, and
Oh, and sorry, Malik, you cut out on us there at the end, so apologies if we didn't quite capture the last 2 parts of it. But we appreciate you talking to us, and again, appreciate you joining us up here in the booth. Congrats on the race win tonight, and we will see you once again next week at South Boston.
All right, thank you, man. I appreciate it.
All right, there you go. Malik Ray, race winner of the Bristol 150. That'll now bring us to your second place finisher here tonight, and that is the 87 machine of Bryce Rayner. Comes up just one spot short, but he's able to deliver a good finish nonetheless. Bryce, this is Austin up in the booth. You got a copy?
Yeah, I got you, Austin.
Well, man, once again, just one spot short here tonight. It looked like you were doing everything right. Unfortunately, though, bad timing on the caution puts you one spot shy of the win tonight. Did you think you had a shot at Malik there if we had maybe another lap or two?
It's possible. I mean, he ran a great race, as do Coke drivers do all the time. But he kind of inched up a little bit towards those last couple laps, and I was able to wrap the yellow line like I was doing all race long. And I thought if I can get to him, with coming to the white flag, I can maybe do something with it. But he just so good, like getting too throttled. I just can't do anything. I'm set up for a long run. That short run coming to the line was beautiful. I just needed 200 feet more back, and I might have been able to, get him past the line. But I mean, bad luck continues. I mean, I had a good car all race long. 9 laps to go. I'm looking back at it. There is no caution on the track whatsoever. I don't know if Jason Nethery stopping on the apron of the pit road caused the caution or what, but I mean, I think I had that thing won if that caution didn't come out. It just sucks.
Yeah, and I would certainly agree with that. Now, obviously, looking at the point standings, you're currently still well within striking range of the leaders, and I think you'll actually pass up Brock Westmoreland after tonight. But, we've got a lot of short tracks on the schedule. Next week at South Boston. Do you kind of feel like these are your strong suits, and do you think that win here is coming up in the next week or two?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, I think I was due for the win tonight, to be honest. I know I got caught out. I destroyed my own self with dropping the hammer when my jack dropped, and I just lit up the tires, so Malik was able to get ahead of me. But Bristol was really a good track for me throughout the years I've been sim racing, so I love this track. Unfortunately, with the one lane groove, you can't really do much. So clean air was huge, but if you could save tire, that's also a plus too. But I don't know, with South Boston, like you mentioned, I'm trying to look at the schedule here. South Boston, Wilkesboro, and the O'Reilly's car. I don't know how I'm going to fare, especially with the somewhat flat track and somewhat, banked. I don't really know, but I think Richmond, looking at it, Richmond, Dover, Dig are probably my top 3, I'd say, and then Martinsville to finish it off is really strong for me too. So hope for the best. I mean, I don't know what the points look like, but I'm just going to go out, run my race. If I get P2 every single race, I mean, I'll take it. I do want to win sometime in the near future in this league against him, but if that doesn't happen, so be it. We'll just keep moving forward.
Absolutely. Well, Bryce, unfortunately, you fall on the wrong side of Lady Luck here tonight, but still a good second-place finish. So before we let you head out, is there anyone you want to thank or shout out?
Yeah, I just want to thank PGR eSports, Austin up in the booth, for putting us on, for family, friends, everybody like that, and all the sponsors that help us with this league, especially Grindstone Developments. Special shout out to all my teammates here, Craig, Christian, Steven. We all did a heck of a job tonight, and I don't know, probably could have been a little bit better without the whole confusion with pitting and where to line up and where the lap cards are. So really good pace from all of us, really, Christian, Craig, and Steven. Nextly, Digital Sim Sports, Martin PC, with everything they help us with on the road side of things. And if you ever need a new PC, that's where you go, Martin PC. And then Team Contest Performance on the open sets. And then I think that'll do it. And all the admins.
Bryce, we appreciate you talking to us. Congrats on the second-place finish, and we'll see you next week.
Yeah, thanks, Austin.
All right, Bryce Rayner comes up just one spot short, and you can tell definitely, tough timing with that caution, and he knows it. Feels like he had the car to win, but unfortunately, it's just not going to quite pan out for him here tonight. Well, that will now bring us to your third-place finisher, another one of the Team Conti teammates, and that is Craig Janzak. Craig, this is Austin up in the booth. You got a copy?
Hey, brother. Yes, sir. I got you. How we doing?
Good. Well, man, a podium finish. I think of, a lot of the guys that we saw with speed here tonight. You probably had the biggest roller coaster of a night. We saw you go from the back to the front a few different times. Tell us about your race overall.
Yeah, it ended up being a really good finish here for the Digital Sim Sports Camaro. It was earned though. I'll definitely say that. I mean, good win to Malik as always. I'm just gutted for my teammate Bryce there. He definitely had Malik covered. If we didn't get that caution with 10 to go for somebody stopping on track is honestly unacceptable. I hope the series does something about that. But either way, yeah, I mean, just trying to do something different than Malik. Not only does Malik obviously have some of the best tire saving strats in the world, but he has unbelievable fire off when he needs that too. So it's just one of those deals where you're definitely not going to beat him doing the same thing as him. So when he pit early, it made the decision pretty easy to extend for me and Bryce and the rest of the Digital Sim Sports team. But it was, just kind of got a little caught out there with when I pit in particular. I wanted to pit with Bryce and Malik, but if I sent it down at with how quick pit opens here when the pace car comes out, if I sent it down on those guys, there's a good chance I wreck one or both or all three of us. So I stayed out a little longer. I was okay with that. Then just fought back through the field. Got a speeding penalty on that last pit stop, so that put me back behind a ton of cars, and that was just a nightmare restart. iRacing sorting was all screwed up for that, and ended up pushing back through. Did a nice bump and run on the 18 coming to the checkered here. If he's upset with me for that, I understand, but at the same time, I know that this car deserved to finish at worst third tonight, and I just wanted to make sure that it did finish exactly there. So yeah, really fun night here at Bristol though, especially when you get some long runs. We had that like 50-ish lap run. That was just amazing. My shoulder won't agree with that in the morning, but it was a good time here on track tonight.
Yeah, and a lot of fun to watch. Obviously, I know we had a fair amount of cautions, but the other thing to keep in mind is obviously championship standings. You've been playing catch-up after some of the chaos through the first couple of races. I got to think this one tonight, though, helps generate some momentum as we head off to South Boston next week.
Yeah, and there's the majority of the question marks about this season exist around that track. I don't even know if we know what setup is going to be brought for us next week. So huge question marks next week at Sobo, but it should be fun. And you're absolutely right. Nailing some points momentum was absolutely required after a disastrous Daytona and an even worse Rockingham. Really needed this podium here tonight. Really needed to hear your voice in my ears directly, not just through the broadcast tonight. So yeah, really thrilled with how the outcome really ended up here. I more than anything, I'm just gutted for Bryce, who could have the rare quality of being able to say that he would have beat Malik straight up here tonight. Really gutted for him.
Well, Craig, before we let you head out to celebrate a podium finish, is there anyone you want to thank or shout out?
Yeah, huge thanks to you guys, PGR eSports. Really appreciate your continued support of us here in the Grindstone Development Series. And of course, thanks to Grindstone for their multi-season partnership here. Awesome to be a part of a great series with a great group of people like that supporting you. So thanks, Grindstone, Kevin Kirscher, the admin team here, all the viewers, Digital Sim Sports, all my guys. Really appreciate showing up to these leagues with us here. And of course, I'd be nothing without thanking Mom, Dad, Aunt Sandy, Anna, Uncle Lee, Chris, and everybody else that's out there cheering on that Chrome Red 97 number. So on to South Boston next week, man.
Sounds like a plan. Well, Craig, we appreciate you talking to us. Congrats again on that third place finish. We will see you next week.
Thanks, Austin. Cheers.
All right, there you go. Craig Janzak brings it home in that third spot here tonight at Bristol. Well, I know we had 6 cautions, actually make that 7 or 8 by the time it was all said and done. Nonetheless, though, still a pretty good race here at the Last Great Coliseum. Obviously, the man that got the job done, though, when it was all said and done, was the 88 of Malik Ray. He is your winner of the Bristol 150. Obviously, still a lot of excitement to come. We got a lot of short tracks over the next couple of weeks. And speaking of next week, it is going to be off to South Boston. Never seen the O'Reilly car ran there, so a lot of anticipation, of course, up here in the booth and also for the drivers on track. We will see who can get the job done there. Bryce Rayner gutted after that late caution here tonight. As far as the rest of the storylines go, we will continue to track the championship standings as we head into next week. Regarding tonight, I do want to thank everybody for joining us. I hope that you enjoyed it. We will be back next week with more of the Grindstone Developments Racing Series. And until then, that's going to do it for me, Austin Green, here on PGR eSports. Until next time, have a good night.